I'd like to take you back to August 10th, 2019. Bill Maher roots for recession so that Trump loses in 2020. Wow. It's been almost 3 years since that moment all of us talked about. Maybe some of you are younger and you weren't involved in politics at the time. Maybe you're now getting older. People are asking you to vote and you didn't know about this story. But yes, there are many high-profile left or liberal comedians who rooted for destruction of this country and regular people's lives so that they could get some kind of political victory. Thank you, Bill Maher. Of course, we can call out Bette Midler and Stephen Colbert in a second. But here we are. Baby food shortage prompts rationing at Target, Kroger, Walgreens, and CVS. Stores impose purchase limits after Abbott recall adds to strain on already limited supplies. How many of you need baby formula? I'm sorry, I said baby food, baby formula shortage. How many of you are relying on formula for your kids? Maybe many of you aren't. Maybe many of you are saying, well, it's bad, but it's not going to affect me. I hope this is not an early warning. And it may be. Joe Biden himself has said that there could be, or they're worried about a global famine. The Biden administration is worried about food shortages. I've talked quite a bit about the rising food prices. Now, of course, the media and the Biden administration want to blame Vladimir Putin for all of it. But inflation was happening before Putin, so your prices were already going up. Shortages were happening well throughout the pandemic. So, yeah, it's not all on Putin, but for sure, the war in Ukraine has made things worse. By all means, focus on whichever element of it you want to focus on. The fact is, we may be entering these waters. That is to say, the baby formula shortage may be the first sign of a greater food problem coming to the United States. Have you guys seen the videos out of Shanghai with people screaming on their balconies, wailing, with the drone saying, control your soul's desire for freedom? You know what really freaked me out? I didn't know this. Candace Owens showed me this. The videos of that have cats tied in bags or dogs being beaten in the streets. Now, we're not like China. Not completely, at least in some ways, I suppose. But we're not like them in a lot of ways. So hopefully we never get to that point. But when you have people pushing their refrigerators onto their balconies, opening them, and there's nothing in it, and they're doing that as a statement, lack of supplies, people are starving and screaming, you'll be surprised what a person is willing to do when they don't have food. And I think Shanghai has, 23 million people? These Chinese cities are absolutely massive. And in, I think, the greater New York metro, you get to around 12 million. The city proper, I think, is 9 million. Manhattan's 2.5. I think it can still get really bad there. Now, we are a well-fed people here in the United States, so maybe it won't get that bad. But take a look at what's going on with these stories. Baby formula shortage. I hope this is I hope this is not the beginning of something, because there was a recall, an Abbott recall. But here's my concern. The recall itself, a recall should not trigger shortages and rationing at stores. A recall can limit some of the supplies of a good. In fact, there are recalls all the time. You probably don't notice. I think what's happened is the recall has pulled the curtain off what may be coming to the U.S. The Wall Street Journal reports the biggest U.S. retailers are rationing baby formula as a recall by the maker of Similac and other popular brands exacerbates already spotty supply in much of the country. As of Tuesday, Walmart Inc., Target, Kroger, CVS Health, and Walgreens Boots Alliance have limited the quantities of many baby formulas that consumers are able to buy online or in some stores. Okay, maybe baby formula doesn't move the needle for you because you don't have kids. I think most of you probably do, based on your age range, but more so in this day and age, millennials tend not to have kids, or that many. And so I'm sure there are many of you who don't have kids, but just recognize what that means. CNN Business reports, recession shock is coming, Bank of America warns. This is why I started the segment talking about Bill Maher. Bill Maher is trending right now because he appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, and they talked a lot about what was going on. But you know what? Bill Maher, like so many of these liberal personalities and comedians who are wealthy and don't care about you or this country, would gladly see it burn. if it meant they got their political victory. So, Bill, am I supposed to forgive someone like you for the sentiments you expressed on your show saying, bring on the recession if it ends Trump, if it stops Trump? Well, you did it. Congratulations. There was a pandemic. You got your recession. Joe Biden wins. And now it is worse than ever. And he's like, oh, but the left has become goofy. And you support it. I'm not going to sit here. You know, Bill can come out and he can say things that about the woke left. Sure. But the dude is so insanely out of touch. He would gladly see Americans suffer. And in many instances with recessions, you get lots of death. And that, I don't want to just rehash an old story, you know, because this was 3 years ago or so. But I hope you're happy. This is the sentiment you express. And my question now is, again, not to rehash the old story, but as we are seeing these food shortages, recession shock coming, am I supposed to forgive these people? Am I supposed to say, don't worry about it, Bill? I know that you did everything in your power to help get Biden elected, and now we're all suffering because of it. Am I supposed to say, but I forgive you? Or am I supposed to say, no, sorry, not this time? It is not so easy as just to forgive and forget. We need to remember how we came to this point, lest people develop amnesia and keep voting for the same thing. Man, I don't know. I'll be the first to admit we're doing well at Timcast. With all of your support over at timcast.com, we're succeeding. We're growing. You know, I take a look at the guys over the Daily Wire, because we're at the Daily Wire studio in our mobile command 2.0, and I see these people are well fed. You know, in a sense, you can say that we could be doing better if the American people were doing better. We would be making even more money. Of course, there's class and wealth in this country. But every time I go to the supermarket and I see people complaining about the prices, when I see the prices they propose to me, man. But I'll tell you what we are doing, pushing back with people like Bill Maher leading the culture for a lot of people on the left. We've got to do more than just complain about it. I want to give a shout out to youtube.com/popculturecrisis. It is not an overtly political show, but you guys should go and subscribe to Pop Culture Crisis if you are interested in news on celebrities, Hollywood, video games, cartoons, comics, movies, all of that stuff. Mostly talking about just more so cultural issues. And I'll tell you why I want to shout them out. I'm on Twitter, and I see people mentioning, remember when Bill Maher was calling for a recession? And now we're looking at food shortages across the board, ongoing. Now we're looking at it just continually getting worse. This is what they root for you. This is the Hollywood, Los Angeles elite. This is what they want for you and your family because they don't like Donald Trump. I'm sickened by it. And not to mention, I'm sickened by movies that are just messages. You know, we talked a bit about this with Matt Walsh, because the Daily Wire, these guys are producing movies and shows that aren't message first. It's just, let's make good content for people. So you know what? We can't just be always the political talk shows that complain about culture. No, Pop Culture Crisis, again, youtube.com/popculturecrisis is a show that talks about cultural issues, celebrity, Hollywood, video games. But you know, the message comes second. And the message, when it does come, comes from a perspective like ours. That we don't want the woke trash. We're not going to sit here and root for your destruction. No, we're going to root for you to succeed. And I'm going to root for you to be personally responsible for your own success. And that means right now, resilience is going to be necessary. With recession shock coming, I ask you, those in the cities, why are you still there? You see what happens in New York. Crime is up. What is it? 44 or some odd percent in general. If the food shortages get as bad as some people speculate, and as many of these celebrities have effectively rooted for, you living in cities, you're going to be in trouble. Again, sitting here complaining about the problem, I'll be a bit more fair with the work we do, highlighting issues and keeping you guys apprised of the stories that are coming and giving you our perspective on it is valuable. Of course, I understand that. But we also need to change culture. We need to not only produce shows that will impact culture, but we need to engage with that culture directly. That's why, with timcast.com, we didn't just launch political shows. We didn't do, okay, timcast.com works. We complain about stuff in politics and culture. Let's do another show with another political person. No, I said, no, we got to do cultural stuff. Tales from the Inverted World, mysteries, paranormal. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. We have to make a difference in this country. We have to inspire people to be personally responsible and to push back on the malignancy that resulted in the failures of the Biden presidency, that is resulting in the failures across the board. I will never be the person to sit here and say, I hope everybody suffers so that I can get the president I want. No, I did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I voted for him in 2020 because things were better. And I knew it would be bad under Joe Biden. I am willing to have a Donald Trump presidency with all of the things I don't like about him because I know it's better for all of us and better for you. I'm a survivor. We've succeeded here at Timcast. We're doing a good job. We're doing well. But I want to see, a rising tide lifts all ships. When the pandemic hit, it was that first March of 2020, our revenues collapsed. Why? Regular people who can't work, can't support shows like this, don't advertise, their small businesses are being shuttered. And I fully get it. Even though we do well enough, I'm like, no. I need you guys to succeed so that I can succeed. That's what it's about. We are only as strong as our weakest link. Check this out. CNN Business. Inflation shock worsening. Rate shock just beginning. Recession shock coming. Bank of America chief investment strategist Michael Hartnett wrote in a note to clients on Friday. The warning came ahead of a new government report on Tuesday that showed consumer prices surged by 8.5%. Inflation is out of control, Hartnett wrote. Inflation causes recessions. Recessionary prices moves in markets. So they say it's going to be a sticker shock. It's going to be a recession shock. It's going to be food shortages. On top of this, what does the Biden presidency get? 140,000 migrants are heading toward the U.S. As Mexican official warns, Biden lifting Title 42 on May 23rd will create chaos at the border. We have a baby formula shortage right now. We're being warned about a global famine. Can the United States stand to have a porous and broken border when we are struggling to get supplies to our own citizens right now? They don't care. They don't care about you. That's why I have to throw it back to Bill Maher. And again, not to single him out, but he's the guy who's trending. He's the guy who's supposedly coming out and saying the left has become goofy. Going on, he's trending right now. Yo, you rooted for the chaos and the destruction. You rooted for it. You know who else rooted for it? Here we go. Stephen Colbert roasted for saying he'd pay $15 for gas because he drives a Tesla. Ha 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 ha. Funny joke. And you know what's funny? The crowd laughs. These people laugh. You know what, man? Without fossil fuels, you know who the first to die? I think it's diabetics. Because insulin needs to be refrigerated. Insulin needs to be refrigerated. When you don't have fossil fuels for a consistent supply of electricity, people suffer. This was March 8th, just a month ago. Colbert said this. Oh, here we go. Here's Bette Midler. I'll happily pay more gas. I'll pay more for gas for her. I despise these evil, disgusting people that would see good, hardworking Americans who pay the bills and the salaries for these people. She would see them suffer for U.S. war. Look, a war happened in Ukraine. The U.S. has some blame in this regard with the meddling we've done, but the blame overwhelmingly falls in the hands of Vladimir Putin. And of course, I understand that. But why am I going to pay more for gas for Ukraine? Are we paying more for gas for Yemen? Oh, I get it now. Do you get it? The bombing in Syria, the invasion of the Middle East. Nobody said, I'll pay a little bit less for gas for her, and pointed to the people that were killed in the U.S. invasions of these countries. No one put up these Ukrainian flags on their accounts for the other countries when the U.S. has been involved in war. You see, that's the name of the game. The U.S. has special interests. And this manipulative, disgusting image of the little girl is very cute. I hope the little girl is safe and secure. And I think Vladimir Putin is a piece of trash for his invasion of Ukraine. I have friends from there who I care about and I respect, and I hope they're going to be safe and their families will be safe. And these images are heartbreaking. But I'm talking about Bette Midler using a photo of this little girl using the war to spit in your face. I'll pay more for gas for her. Screw off. The American people did not have to worry about paying more for gas when Donald Trump was president. No, in fact, gas was relatively cheaper before the pandemic. I'm not going to play these games where it's like gas was below $2. It was below $2 on average during the pandemic when demand was in the gutter. That was not a good thing for anybody. But throughout Trump's presidency, gas was floating around $2. I believe it was $2.30. And that was down from the highs we've seen in the past. And now under Joe Biden, for all of his crackpottery, this is what we get. Now, hold on there a minute. Russia didn't invade Ukraine under Donald Trump for several reasons. Elad Eliyahu, who is one of our ground reporters, he was on the show and he said he thought it was good that the U.S. that the world was unipolar, that the United States was the dominant force. But I asked him then why do you think Putin didn't invade Ukraine? He said Trump was strong. Trump scared Putin. I agree. I also agree that Donald Trump stabilizing the Middle East, shoring up U.S. energy production, and not being involved in the manipulations in Ukraine, Vladimir Putin said, okay, things are stabilizing. Peace. The Abraham Accords. We have evil people who want, they don't want dirty air. They want the U.S. to be like Elysium in that movie, a luxurious, hoity-toity, clean. Other people will give us the fuels. We won't do the work. It is the perfect embodiment of the modern urban liberal. They don't grow their own food. They expect you to bring it to them. Under Donald Trump, it was let's remove some of these environmental regulations and we'll start producing energy in our own country. And we became nearly, for all intents and purposes, energy independent. It's kind of impossible to be completely independent because we have growth. So we will import energy to grow. But there's another way to become energy independent, and that's a recession. That's a culling, essentially, an economic culling. Less people means we've got fuel here to use. There's nothing more despicable, in my opinion, than the manipulation of people for political gain. That you should be happy to pay high gas prices, that these people like Bill Maher laughed in your faces saying, bring on the recession, that Colbert said, I'll pay $15 a gas. Psh, I drive a Tesla. And you know he does. You know he does. Rich people have Teslas. Wealthier people have electric cars because they can snap their fingers and get it. I have a Tesla. And I'm not stupid enough to laugh in the faces of hardworking Americans who can't afford $60 to fill up their tank. If the regular working people do not make it, none of us do. Because we are only as strong as our weakest link. But these people like Bette Midler, like Stephen Colbert, like Bill Maher, are more than happy to spit on you. Because even when you suffer, they'll still be rich. And they'll be rich forever. I'm disgusted by modern politics in a lot of ways. But it's typically these urban celebrity, etc., whatever. I want to give a shout out to Ice-T. Maybe it was just a joke. Maybe it was a joke. But this is what Ice-T said. I was robbed at a gas station in New Jersey last night. After my hand stopped trembling, I managed to call the cops. And they were quick to respond and calmed me down. My money is gone. The police asked me if I knew who did it. I said, yes, it was pump number 9. It's a funny joke. But Ice-T expressing something that most people get. The high gas prices are a problem. The food shortages are a problem. These wealthy elites, they tell you it is better that you suffer and that people die in food shortages and that babies can't have food if it means no Donald Trump. And now look where we are. I don't know what would have happened under Donald Trump presidency right now. I just know it would be better. It might still be bad. We of course, will always have things to complain about with the president. But in 2019, the best numbers of our lives. In 2020, we had a pandemic. I'll tell you this. In 2020, things got bad. In 2021, Joe Biden becomes president. And things got worse. Tell me how that is. Bill Maher, I want you to answer for this. Under the first year of Joe Biden's presidency, he had the vaccines, the key to solving the problem of COVID. So they said. And there were more COVID cases and deaths. We were under lockdown well throughout 2021. Restrictions and lockdown. Tell me what happened. And in 2020, we had the nursing home fiasco where people were being killed. Yet Biden still made it worse. That's what all of these people rooted for. Right now, looking at baby formula shortages, it's scary because I think it could be an early warning that more footages are coming. I can't predict the future. I can only read these articles that say shortages are coming. So do what you think is right for yourself, your friends, your family. I just have such disdain for these wealthy Hollywood elites. I want to see that system fail. If you work in Hollywood and you want to get out, get out. I look at what the Daily Wire is doing. I am inspired by it. I am jealous of it. Movies, TV shows, we're going to do the same thing with timcast.com. We've got Pop Culture Crisis. We've got Tales from the Inverted World. We've got Chicken City. Have you seen Chicken City? We'll call it a kids show. It's just chickens doing chicken stuff, but it is now one of the highest grossing super chatted shows in the world, assuming the trend continues. Because people love it. That's what we want to do. And it's funny watching these establishment activist leftists be like, people are so dumb to support Chicken City. People like stuff, dude. We're building community. We are circling the wagons around the values we hold dear and the support for the working class of this country. But these people, these elites, these celebrities who laugh and spit in your face, the same people who voted for Joe Biden supposedly supported Bernie. Bernie was supposed to be for the regular working people. Okay, well, if you're for the regular working people, now is about time you tell these celebrities to STFU. Because look how bad everything's gotten under their leadership. Their guide. Man, do what you think you need to do for your friends, your family. If that means buying emergency food, whatever, I don't know. I hope it doesn't get as bad as they say it is. But, you know, I talked about food shortages a week or so ago, and now we have the baby formula shortages hitting. And there's fears it's going to get worse here in the U.S. Probably not as bad as many other poorer countries. Hopefully not. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.